All right, you ready to just jump into this, man?
Hell yeah. Always
Okay,
ready.
sweet. All right, so question one. I imagine that virtually everybody who sees this is going to be relatively familiar with who you are. So if you had to describe your YouTube channel in your own words, what do you do?
I react to music. I review music, mostly metalcore actually. That's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Originally, this channel was something different, but now it's just turned into like basically a reaction channel. I sometimes do like vocal covers as well. That's something that I got into this year specifically. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so why don't you tell us what inspired you to start a metal YouTube channel?
Well, funny enough, the channel that is hardcore originally was something completely different. It was created in 2012 when I was just 12 years old. And like any other 12-year-old kid in 2012, I was really into Minecraft. And so originally, this channel was a Minecraft channel with like 10 views per video. Honestly, most of the videos are deleted at this point, which is kind of sad. But yeah, originally it was just me, fucking around as a child on YouTube. But then I just kind of forgot about it for a while. And 2017, I think it was, I decided that, I have a lot of free time. And so how about I make some memes? And so the very first like big video on hardcore channel was remember Suicide Silence released Doris,
Teehee.
that amazing song. Yeah,
Yeah.
I my friend sent it to me and I was like, oh damn, this sucks. And so I just played around with it, and I kind of took the vocals from the bridge part where there's no like falsetto, and I put it on every chorus, so then there's no teehee in the song. And I just uploaded that to YouTube and called it fixed version. And that got like 100K views in like a week, and I was like, what? I've never seen numbers like that. That's insane. And that just like sort of kickstarted this whole thing, and I was like, oh damn, I should make more memes. But then I think it was March or February of 2017. I honestly don't know how, but I got this idea in my head. Try not to laugh challenges are fun. What about try not to headbang challenge, which is basically a challenge in which you get these really headbangable songs compilations, and you're not supposed to headbang. Uh, and yeah, that was basically when I uploaded the original Try Not to Headbang challenge to the channel. And then a couple of days later, when it actually got some traction, Jared Dines uploaded a video to his channel reacting to it. And I was like, damn, Jared Dines? That's insane. And so I had like 1,000 subscribers before. And after Jared Dines uploaded that video, my subs went up to like 3,000 in a day, then like 7,000. And in a month, it was already like 10,000. It was insane. It was a very rapid growth. And I was milking that idea as much as I could. I had Try Not to Headbang Challenge Volume 2, Volume 3. Then there was like Try Not to Air Drum Challenge, Try Not to Air Guitar Challenge. Oh man, I milked the shit out of that.
Yeah,
That's
man.
kind of like us. We've done like 4 reactions to Demolisher, just milking that for so many
Oh hell
views.
yeah. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Um,
Yeah.
all right. So, so at what point did, and of course you might answer this just by saying, well, I don't take it seriously, but was there a point where you realized that the channel was really going to be like something that you were going to put a lot of energy into, or was there a point where you began to say, all right, I'm taking this seriously now?
I mean, at first it definitely wasn't serious. At first it was just like, all right, I'm gonna make some of these videos just for fun. But I guess it's because there were different stages on the channel of like growth and decay, I guess. And well, the first time that I realized, oh, maybe I should make more videos when like Jared Dines reacted to it, and I was like, oh, I should definitely make more versions of this, or like come up with different ideas to upload to YouTube, because obviously I have this new audience. It's like, why not, right? But then at the end of that year, I remember I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And next year, I started doing actually like original content with my face in it. That was the first time that I was like, oh, maybe I should just start over with a different idea. Maybe this will take off. And I think the first like that type of video was a review of the Plot and You Dispose album. And man, it's still on the channel somewhere, I think. But it's just basically 14 minutes of me talking about the album, and it was shot on a horrible camera with a horrible sound. It was the first like sort of precedent for me to like react to music and stuff. And so basically that's where it took off, February of 2018. And since then I was just trying to make videos like that, to make more content like that, and I guess here we are. So
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the moment where me and Chris are aware that there was a point where you wanted to quit the channel, when this is after the point that you just talked about, because a lot of your videos got deleted.
right,
Um,
that was probably last year, in like April. Yeah, it was at the time my phone was blowing up every day with like emails. Your video got blocked. Your video got deleted worldwide, worldwide. It's like, oh man, this sucks. Because like basically all of my original videos, all the try not to headbang challenges and whatnot, they all got claimed and they're all blocked. Like they're still on the channel, but they're blocked. Nobody's able to see them aside from me. And so that was the time where I was like, oh, anything I do. And yeah, it was a time where I was like, I should really rethink this and like maybe take some time off to come up with different content ideas. Maybe I could make content that's not going to be so copyright like dependent, I guess. And it was a very refreshing 3 weeks. I just kind of took a break from YouTube. It was great, and then I came back, and I mean it was fun after that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about something kind of specific with you, which is
Yes.
While She Sleeps. And
Yes.
they just came out with their new Sleep Society thing. So
Yep.
I wanted to pick your brain on what you think about that.
Well, that is actually a really, really great idea. I've seen some smaller bands do this, like they're like Spirit Box. I think they had a Patreon for a long time, and it's mostly obviously independent bands that aren't really signed by like major labels. Um, and I think it makes sense because a lot of YouTubers have Patreon. I have a Patreon, and it's like another way to get something out of something by giving something extra, for like exclusive content. And I think bands are like they have all the resources to do that because they can post, lessons how to play this song. They can post like stems to the song, multi-tracks, and all that stuff. And a lot of people are going to be interested in that. And I think it's an amazing model to just like survive in this music industry because like has as they mentioned in the video, we all stream music on Spotify nowadays, Apple Music, all that stuff, and that's not really beneficial to artists. And that's, I guess, one way to just, you know, make some money out of it. So I fully supported.
so
Yeah.
do you think that this is going to be a new trend of bands doing this thing? I mean, we all know since what in the 90s or early 2000s with Napster and LimeWire, that was
Yeah.
basically the end of bands making money off their records. Um, and so, I mean, in my opinion, this is just kind of seems that the coronavirus, because bands could only make money from touring and merch. That was their main sources of revenue.
Yeah.
And now that they can't do those, there needs to be some sort of innovation. And I think we're about to see an explosion of something. So do you think that this is a trend that's going to catch on?
I definitely think a lot of bands are gonna try to do that same thing. I don't think a lot of bands will succeed at that because um, obviously you need to really think this through. Like, what perks are you gonna give to people who pay you? Obviously, a lot of people are just gonna pay you because they love your music. They don't really expect anything in return. But like smaller bands, especially, I feel like they need to think about, well, what can we give in return, aside from music, obviously. But I think I definitely think it's going to be a bit of a trend, especially in our times where it's really difficult to make any money from music. So yeah, I definitely think it's something that's going to catch on.
Yeah. So something that occurred to me when I found out that they were going to be doing this was, I know they were going to be talking about, they'll have like motivational videos and other types of videos about how to do X, Y, Z. And I thought about how that might actually make it more difficult for people to separate art from the artist. And so I'm interested if you think that that might be a problem. And additionally, like what you think of, like how important is it to separate art from the artist? Because, we've got folks like Tim Lambesis out there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting topic because like you just mentioned Tim Lambesis, like great band, great music, but obviously all the background and stuff. And like recently, even Austin Carlisle, who has received some serious accusations against him. And
Yeah.
like, I love Of Mice and Men, but at the same time, like, where do we draw the line? Like, should we listen to a band that's promoting this, and this? Like, it's hard. It's hard, man. I honestly, I couldn't tell you, but it is important to, I guess, separate it to some extent. Cause like, there's other obvious, there's a lot more people than just one person in the band who does something wrong, right? And they all kind of receive this backlash together. As for Patreon, I mean, While She Sleeps especially, I think the biggest thing for them was to sort of uh, like be one with community at all times. And
Right.
like they had these shows in their like warehouse early on. Like the music video to Hurricane was filmed in one of those. Like they would just invite people to their warehouse to just play a show. And I guess Patreon is sort of a digital way to do this because they bring all these like hardcore fans together and they give them all this stuff. I don't think that's going to be a problem necessarily for them though. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Chris,
mean, just
oh yeah.
what
I was about to ask
you,
you to answer the question that you asked because I'm interested to know what you think.
Yeah, because
oh,
it's
Very
a tough
difficult
question.
question to answer.
sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I asked it because I thought it'd be a good conversational piece. I mean, so what I was thinking was, if you have all of this behind the scenes content, right, that is
Right.
directly tied to your primary revenue stream, all it would take is for one person in the band to say something or do something that is generally perceived as bad, and you
Right.
can use whatever word you want, and suddenly they might see the revenue stream dry up. And another thing that occurred to me that's not so much about people doing bad things, but I also thought about how this might actually, now we're assuming here that this becomes like a broad trend and not just for While She Sleeps,
Right.
is that it might actually make it more difficult for bands to evolve. Because if you think about how negative the reaction was when Bring Me the Horizon dropped Ammo from their older fans,
Mm-hmm.
or how negative I know that your response and mine was as well when Wage War dropped that last album I can't even remember the name of.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not
so,
important.
so if you decide to go in a different direction, which almost always is
Ooh.
going to lead to a certain portion of your fan base sort of becoming upset. I mean, are you running the risk of losing 80% of your revenue?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, changing the sound is already a risk in itself. So, if musicians love doing, like, they would love to switch it up, do something different, I think they have a full right to do that, obviously. And then just a new audience will find them. An old audience will just find something else to listen to. I think it's just that's how it works usually.
Yeah.
Because Wage
Yeah.
War is they still have a lot, like a huge fan base, even though they definitely kind of soften their sound up. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
think it's very fluid, One audience moves to something else and another one comes in its place. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's gonna be a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, assuming that a subscription-based Patreon thing becomes a big trend in the metal world, do you
Hmm.
think that this would introduce a new level of competition between bands? Because right now, in my opinion, there is no competition because people like us have 20 favorite bands we're listening to at any given time, and those are all bands that we would totally go to one of their shows and buy merch. But now,
Yeah.
if Patreon becomes like a thing, we're only going to subscribe to a couple of them. You know what I mean? So now it's almost like they could be some sort of competition that comes out of this. And do you think that's a good thing, or do you disagree that that there is going to be competition?
And there's definitely gonna be competition, and if Patreon becomes a widespread thing. Um, is it good? Maybe it drives just bands to like improve their perks that they give to their audience, or just give more content out there. It's definitely bad for like super small bands, because obviously you got people supporting like bands like While She Sleeps. Like, with all due respect, they're a big band, right?
Yeah.
uh but like bands with 100 listeners on Spotify or like less, they're gonna be definitely kind of screwed by the competition. So it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, did you have a follow up on that before I change the topic, Connor?
No. Let's go to the next.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so this is kind of connected to what we were just talking about, because now I want to ask you about like how much you think that other elements of music as like a package really matter, right? So you got the way the music sounds, and then you
Hmm.
have the personality of the front man, the marketing and the packaging and all that sort of stuff. And I know you've said in the past that one of your early bands you enjoyed was Linkin Park. Is that correct?
Oh, hell yeah, I still
Yeah.
do.
And so the actual question is, I just wanted to ask you what you think it was about Linkin Park that got you and a lot of other people, including myself, into metal. I mean, when I was in middle school, everybody was like listening to Linkin Park. And if it weren't for that, then I probably wouldn't have gotten to, Slipknot, etc. And then ultimately be listening to Cannibal Corpse at 19, right?
Right.
But so if you want to just take a minute to just love on Linkin Park, here's your chance.
Linkin Park, man, it's I started listening to them when I was 6. That's how early I got into them. Like, that was basically the first like actual band that I consciously liked. And what is special about them, honestly, I think it's just the time that they've been like they did music like since like late 90s. I think that's when they started, obviously with Hybrid Theory in 2000. I was born in 2000, so like that album is as old as I am. But I think time definitely plays a huge role here, because obviously if a band just released a Hybrid Theory now, like, it wouldn't really be a big thing. But it's just how revolutionary it was at the time. Like, it basically just, I think, kickstarted the whole new metal movement, because before, definitely there were new metal bands, but Linkin Park was like one of the pioneers of this heavier rap rock music. And I think that's why they got famous in the first place, because like you got In the End, their biggest song. It's got rap verses, very melodic, nice chorus, and like it's generally heavier than rock. And I think it's just the fact that they created this whole Linkin Park style. Because like sometimes you listen to new music nowadays, and you hear something similar and be like, that's Linkin Park sound, right? So it's just the influence that they made over the years, and how relevant they still are, even though so many years have passed. That's something to admire about Linkin Park.
What do you think it is about new metal and Linkin Park that just got every middle schooler like? Why did we love this in middle school? Is my
We
question.
we can just expand this to all of new metal. Do you think there's anything like thematically in new metal that just connects with pissed off 12-year-olds?
It's just very edgy. It's just very edgy. It's like
Yeah.
it connects with all like angsty people, right? Like young, rebellious, and all that stuff. And I think that's basically it. That's basically the reason it was so popular back in the day, because it related to so many people, like not just in America, like all around the world. Because like when I was growing up, I was growing up in Ukraine. I moved to Canada when I was 15, so I still loved Linkin Park, and everybody I knew loved Linkin Park. So it's like it's a worldwide thing. And yeah, I just think relatability is the main reason. It's edgy. It's edgy as fuck.
Yeah. So, so a minute ago, you said if somebody dropped Hybrid Theory today, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have the same impact. But in my opinion, a lot of people are dropping Hybrid Theory today. So bands like Diamond Construct and Alpha Wolf and all these bands that have new metal influence. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean there is a little bit of, or like Tala, which just is new metal. There's a lot of like new metal influence that's coming back into music. And
Right.
you're free to
Absolutely.
absolutely just disagree with me with that. I know you just agreed with me, but whatever.
That's true though. That's true.
Yeah. So I'm curious just what you think about that new wave of like hardcore bands that make the Wii U sound in their breakdowns, you know, Dealer, Alpha Wolf, all that stuff. Do you have any opinion on that whole
Uh,
wave?
the new metalcore, as we call it. I
Yeah.
mean, Dealer. It. I don't know.
R.I.P.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I
Yeah.
remember at the end of 2019, they were really hyped up. Like on Reddit, if you went to r/metalcore, they would post Dealer almost every day, and it was like, personally, I didn't find anything special about that band. I just thought, I mean, it was cool. It was groovy as fuck. It was like, damn, these breakdowns are fucking fire. But do I love it though? No.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know, man. It's just like you said, a lot of these bands kind of, for me, sound similar. Like if
Yeah.
you compare Dealer to Alpha Wolf, obviously I like Alpha Wolf much more, but generally a lot of characteristics of the music is the same or similar at least. Like starting from vocals, ending with breakdowns every 30 seconds. I think it's very overwhelming for me personally to listen to music like this. I love a bit more melodic stuff, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. So if all I'm hearing constantly is these grooves and breakdowns and all that stuff, that kind of bores me. So
Hmm.
that's just my outlook on it.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
what's your opinion of Alpha Wolf? And have you heard their new record?
Absolutely, I have. It's a great record. It's it was actually surprising how good it was, considering like what I just said about this whole direction of music. It was definitely not boring. There were parts in it where I was like, "Damn, this is Alpha Wolf. Is this true?" Uh, like the song "Don't Ask." It was such a great album closer.
Yeah.
I mean, Alpha Wolf is great. I don't really have anything against them. They're an example of this type of music done right, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Alpha
That's a good way to say it. Which leads us to the question that everybody has been asking. Why is Australian metal so good, Bogdan?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm not Australian. I wouldn't tell you. One of the comments under one of the reactions to Australian band was that apparently they eat something different or they drink something different, so they just naturally gain the ability to write kick-ass music. I don't know, man. It's just, I think the biggest thing about Australia is that if we come to this logically, I think it's just metalcore is so popular there because there's generally less competition there, because like there's less people there and it's a huge island. so you can gain your fan base there and then move worldwide. So that's what happened to Parkway Drive. That's what happened to North Lane. That's what's going to happen to a lot of these Australian surfer bands. But man, I don't know the actual reason why they're so good at writing metal. I don't know, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of desert to film your music videos in too.
Yeah, it's boring there, I would assume. So
Yeah.
Well, and
Connor.
the equal rhetorical question is, why is the UK so good with metalcore?
UK. I mean, yeah, UK has got a pretty strong metalcore
Yeah.
scene. I don't know, man. It's just
We're aware, by the way, that you couldn't possibly give us the answers to
Yeah,
these
I know.
questions.
Yeah.
We're just
what core is United
It's-
States good for? I mean, if the
Sorry?
UK has metalcore and Australia has hardcore,
he's
yeah.
asking that outside of the United States, is the United States metal scene perceived in any particular way?
I mean, when I was in Ukraine, I guess first like American band that I was listening to was Of Mice and Men.
Mm.
And I don't think it's perceived that much differently. It's definitely less popular there than here, because obviously it's American, so it would be more popular in North America. But I don't think there's a whole like big difference. But Europeans generally, I noticed they definitely do stick to like European bands, like German bands, like a lot of, as you mentioned, UK bands. So I think it's just a local thing. You know, we stick to our own products. So.
Yeah.
So what is you've been living in Canada for a while. What does Canada think of metal?
Oh, in Canada, I don't really know that many like big metalcore bands from Canada. I know Counterparts is from Hamilton, which is like 60 kilometers away from Toronto. I actually was gonna go see them in May this year, but didn't happen. It's particularly in Toronto because I've been to maybe like 15 shows in the last 2 years. I'd say it's pretty metal is pretty big, definitely, because pretty much every single show I've went to was sold out. But also I think that's because not a lot of bands go to Canada for whatever reason. A lot of bands, even if they go to Canada, they skip Toronto, which is kind of interesting to me because like Toronto is the biggest, definitely the biggest city in Canada. So um, yeah, I don't. But then you have to also consider the fact that Toronto is very different from the rest of Canada, because Toronto is this big, huge, densely compact city that's more like American, and then the rest of Canada is it's much more like wasteland and small towns and stuff. It's not bad. It's not an
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah.
I would rather live in a small town than Toronto, but
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Insert Nickelback joke here.
Oh hell yeah.
So is there, and you can answer this for either Canada or Ukraine, is there any stigma attached to metal where you are or where you have been?
Ooh, that's definitely, I would say it's not that different, but there's definitely stigma on metal. So, because like if you tell people you listen to metal, they'd be like, he's probably weird. And it's been like this in Ukraine. It's still like this in Canada. I mean, it's nowadays, I feel like it's not that crazy of an idea if you listen to like heavy music. I don't think people perceive you as a Satanist anymore. That's that phase is kind of gone. But I still think in Ukraine it was pretty intense, especially in school. But surprisingly, in Ukraine, actually, metalcore scene it's definitely not big, but there's a lot of people that are willing to go to shows and stuff. And I actually discovered this quite recently. I never really went to any metal shows in Ukraine. I wasn't really a fan of metalcore back then. I only became like a huge metalcore fan in Canada. So That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I mean, me and Chris, well, we live in near the greater Nashville area in the American South, and there definitely is some stigma, but I think we found that generally people our age, maybe half and half, some people think it's weird our age, but a lot of people are just like, oh, okay, that's like listening to enter whatever genre
Yeah,
of
it's
music that,
just it's
yeah,
your own business, right? It's like
exactly.
you listen to what you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a much stronger stigma in the smaller towns here in Tennessee. I mean, I live in a town where we recently tried to rebrand the town, and the brand had the word whiskey in it, and all of the owners of the local churches tore the banners down.
Damn.
So, so
Gatekeepers.
yeah. So I can't exactly go around saying that I like metal, and God forbid anybody found out I had this channel, I would immediately be fired. Um,
Damn.
put it, but yeah, I would say that otherwise, what you described is basically how it is. I mean, once you actually go into like Broadway in Nashville, everybody's playing every kind of music. So,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, we ask everybody that question, and basically everybody gives us a similar response of, oh, things are fine. So I think that I think it's okay to be a metalhead in the world today.
It really is.
Yeah.
So do you have any totally going off subject, but do you have any aspirations musically? You've been doing a lot of vocal covers. Are you interested in getting involved in a band?
Ooh, honestly, I've been asking that question myself. Um, I like singing. I recently like learned more screaming and stuff. Would I be interested to like dedicate my life to it? Probably not, considering like all the stuff that we've heard about how hard it is to be a musician, to make any sort of money by music. So probably no. I would stick to it being just a hobby for me, just to like, hey, I can do this thing. You want me to sound like a dinosaur? I can do that. Like a party trick. But I mean, life is unpredictable, so I always check my emails, so I'm ready. I'm ready. Whoever, a Fison man, let's go. You need a new vocalist?
Yeah.
Nah, jokes,
No,
jokes.
I absolutely, dude. Every time we do an interview on this channel, after we finish, I talk to Connor and I'm like, I'm gonna email them and ask if they need somebody to scream in their band. So I totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that segues into a somewhat broader question, which is that, is there any type of video or any type of content that you've been wanting to do on your channel that you just haven't gotten to yet?
Oh, yes, I think so. I think there's a lot of content that I've been like putting in the drawer and just forgetting about it. Can't really think of any particular types. I remember I wanted to do like these commentary videos where I would take a topic and I would sort of talk about it, like write an essay, almost like a video essay about something. But that idea it seems like it's so 2015 YouTube, right? Like nobody really does that anymore. Um, I was considering doing interviews as well, but then I was just like, that's fine. Other people can do it.
Thanks
Uh,
for leaving us that market.
Exactly.
Absolutely, you take it. You
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do covers for a long time, and so I'm really happy that I actually got into that last year, and then I just kept doing more and more this year. And for the longest time, I wanted to like feature some other YouTubers, and I got some pretty fat features recently with like Nick Nocturnal and other like pretty big guitar a YouTuber, Robin from France, and then another drummer from UK. It's pretty fun. It's just like YouTube gives me this ability to, connect with musicians all around the world. But as for content, currently I don't really know. Um, I do have a list of plans somewhere written on a piece of paper, but I mean I'm just doing whatever works for now. but I'm definitely considering some changes in content, because I mean, reaction videos are great, but at some point it kind of becomes boring to just do that. So I will be considering like more like reviews, or like I was actually very interested in doing like concert video blogs, like going to a concert with a camera and like talking about my experience, but I never really did that because like I want to have fun. I want to go in the mosh pit. I can't really do that with a camera. It's just gonna get destroyed.
Yeah.
So, to expand upon that question, is there any dream you have of this channel or some sort of little hobby that turns into a full-time job?
Honestly, to be completely honest, I don't think I'm gonna be doing YouTube for a very long time. I think like the moment I get a stable job in my like um, own career, which is like graphic design, user interface, and all that stuff, I'm probably gonna have much less time to do YouTube. So, but I'll try. If I like it, definitely I'm not gonna just forget about it. But I don't really have long-term plans for this channel. I'm just doing videos, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think any of us have like a crystal clear idea of where we're going on YouTube. So that's not at all a disappointing or underwhelming answer.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
if you don't have expectations, you can't possibly be disappointed. So that's just
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which actually leads perfectly into my next question. Look at that. But
so
so
scripted.
that I'm gonna cut that part out. No, um no, but you actually just made me think about how personally I think that it's greatly beneficial to my life that I have a career. Connor has a career as well outside of YouTube and everything. I think it's good for our mental health, and obviously we actually get paid at those jobs, so that's
Right. That's a
that's
big thing.
that's that's a plus. And so I wanted to ask you, and this is going to be difficult to quantify, so just answer it as you will. What role you feel that metal plays in your life? Because the folks who watch us on YouTube, that's all they see, you know? So I
Right.
guess what I'm really, and then I know that 80% of my life, I have an existence where if I were to bring up metal, everyone else in the room would, stop talking to me immediately. So I'm curious how much of a role metal plays in your day-to-day life. And I'm curious what you think of how certain communities get like their entire lives absorbed by the scene, if you know what I mean.
I wouldn't say that metal takes up a huge chunk of my life. It's mostly just very personal. It's just like I love that music. So I would say 90% of music I listen to is metal or metal related. But like my friends, they don't really listen to metal. I have one friend that listens to metal. I dragged my cousin last year to a Northlane concert. He liked it, but he doesn't listen to metal. And it's like, it's fine by me. I don't really need to have a lot of metal in my life. I could just listen to it while I work, while I bike, while I do whatever, workout or anything like that. So I guess metal is just it's like this personal thing for me that I don't really share with other people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So that transitions into I wanted to ask you, why do you like metal? What is it about metal? And let's take the answer of off the table of it's edgy because we're all adults now, and I don't think personally for me, I don't care about being that edgy
Oh, you were
anymore.
gonna
But I
say we're all edgy.
still I still love it though, and it's a difficult question to answer. Why do you like it? Like, what is it about it?
I think it's just the energy. I love the energy that metal produces, just the emotion and all that stuff. You don't really get that with like softer music. For some reason, it's just the emotion is delivered so well through like distortion, heavy music, and all that screaming. For me personally, it's I guess two things: energy and emotion. Two things that I don't really get in other types of music. So
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you, because this is something I've always been particularly interested in with anybody I talk to about music, how significant you think that lyricism is, and whether or not you think that, say, a bad lyrics can ruin a good song. Because I've sort of been testing people to see how people feel about this topic.
Yeah, I mean, lyricism is important. I think lyricism is like almost 50% of the success of the song. But in some cases, you gotta think of a bigger picture. Like obviously, Hypa Hypa, a song by Eskimo Callboy, is not gonna have deeper levels and meanings to it. I just think it's very situational. You have bands that write more lyrical heavy, deeper music. You have bands that write more like instrumental stuff. Like August Burns Red is great. They have great lyricism, but all of their songs, or most of them, are basically around the same topic of like stand up and fight, you know, moderate.
Yeah.
Like I love August Burns Red, but that's just an observation that I made. But I think lyricism is definitely something you shouldn't just be like uh ignoring while writing music, because even Fit for a King's latest album, it was so inconsistent in that regard, because like you have songs like Louder Voice and Prophet with amazing lyrics, with amazing metaphors and stuff, and then you have songs that are just like, okay, I've heard this a million times already from you guys, why you keep writing about this?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got God of Fire that has like one line in the whole song.
Annihilation is much worse than that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Would you say that that record turned out okay?
I think it's okay. I
Yeah.
disliked it at first, but I think it kind of grew on me, and especially like the songs that I mentioned, Prophet, Louder Voice. They're great songs. I think Louder Voice, controversial opinion, is the best song they've ever written, in my personal opinion. It
Yeah.
just sucks that the album wasn't very consistent, and it's
Yeah.
like it's jumping from one thing to another. Like it feels like they just wrote 10 different songs in 10 different like times, and just put it together, as opposed to one like consistent journey, you know. So that's
Yeah.
just my issue with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, do you want to? I don't think you've ever gotten the opportunity. We usually ask most of the bands on our channel when we do these interviews, how important they think lyricism is. And of course, because we're interviewing bands, their answers are consistently, it's very important to have meaningful lyrics. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead? Because I know specifically me and Chris have had quite a few conversations about this. And, I know Chris has specifically wanted to write about this subject. So, Chris, you want to give your 2 cents on lyrics?
Yeah, yeah. So full transparency, Bogdan, part of the reason why I asked you that question is because I'm sort of researching people's thoughts on this for a video essay. Because it occurred to me that when I think about music, I think that it's music first, and then the lyrics are, sort of just a supplemental element, right? And that's just the way that I look at it. I've always thought that you should write music first and then write the lyrics. And, that's not objectively correct. It's just the way I feel
Yeah.
about things. But despite the fact that I feel very strongly about that, I'm also keenly aware that I consistently will stop listening to a song just because like the lyrics make me cringe, basically. And so I'm hoping the end product will be a video essay, but personally, like I'm going through this process of trying to figure out what is it about like painful lyrics that overrides how good a song can be. And this is getting a lot of angry people in the comments if this video gets seen, but a good example of this is that I'm not a very big fan of Ronnie Radke in any of his forms. And it's because I personally just don't like the way he presents his feelings in his lyrics. I think he's a good musician. I think he's talented at everything that he does. I basically just don't like the words that he chooses. And for some reason that overrides my ability to enjoy songs that I think are objectively good, like Popular Monster. I think that's a great song, but there's just something about the words he's choosing to use that just pisses me off. And,
Yeah.
and so that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I don't really have a conclusion yet, because I'm trying to figure out if there's something mistaken in the way that I think about music.
I just thought about this. Usually when I listen to a song, I definitely focus more on the musical side of it. And if I'm interested, I'll check out the lyrics. But I definitely agree with you. If a song is just too cringe, I'm like, man, stop this. As for Ronnie Radke, I mean, I agree he's talented. I agree, like, a lot of things he does are great. I do enjoy a lot of, like, more modern, like, of his music, like his current music, I guess. But I would agree that lyrics isn't my favorite part about them. It's more so just the style and the music, but the lyrics is just like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's my feeling. And I was trying to choose my words carefully because I'm afraid people are going to think that I think he's a bad rapper or something, which is not the case. I think he's actually a good rapper who chooses the wrong words.
yeah.
If that makes any sense at all.
I think that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for hijacking your interview, by the way.
Oh, anytime.
So I think this leads into just a fun question. What is some of your favorite music of 2020?
Some of my favorite music of 2020. Well, my favorite album thus far is Make Them Suffer, How to Survive a Funeral. It's so different from anything I've listened to in the past, like maybe 3 years, 4 years. It's just such a weird, experimental, but at the same time, it just works, it just works. For me personally, it's the best album I've heard so far. I guess Loathe, and their album, oh my gosh, what was it called?
I let it in and it took everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That album is insane. That album is absolutely crazy. I've been putting it off, but then I finally listened to it and I was like, wow. It's just so much versatility. It's just so much. It's like, a lot of people mention this, but it's basically Deftones, but heavier.
Yeah. Hot take. I think it's better than the new Deftones record.
Honestly, I've never listened to Deftones, so I
Oh well. Yeah. No. The Loathe record, sincerely, is also my favorite record of recent memory. That was really, really, really good.
Currents released a really good record this year.
It's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
August Burns Red. I kind of forgot that they actually released an album this year. This year has been. There's a lot of albums there. Bury Tomorrow, Bleed From Within. All these albums are actually really, really good. Like, I think this year a lot of bands released their best work yet.
And they can't tour on it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Frustrating.
I'm hoping in about a year we're just gonna get berated with concerts.
Oh yeah.
20 concerts per month.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn my wallet.
Too much. I'm gonna blow my hearing. I won't be able to.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. What do you think of Darko?
Darko, I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh,
I've seen a lot of comments telling me that I should, but I haven't listened to it. What is it like?
It's difficult to describe. It's like if Dealer, which you've expressed as just kind of meh, was a deathcore band.
Yep.
Is the best way to put it. Yeah. It's like it's if that grooviness and that like hardcore structure was, they did everything in their power to make it as heavy as possible and said, we're a deathcore band now.
And lots of wheel.
Yeah. Lots of like crazy noise. And it's also just about the loudest mix I've ever heard. So there's that.
I'll check it out. That sounds promising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to make a recommendation for a reaction for you, but Divine Void would be a pretty good one.
What was it?
Divine Void.
Divine Void.
That was their first single.
Yeah. Do you know the band Spite?
Spite. I think so. Is it the band they had like an album with like sort of a painting as a album cover? I don't
It's
remember.
okay. Yeah, it's got
Yeah,
like a white skull on it. Yeah,
right.
all I was gonna say is that the vocalist of that band is featured in that song, and
Okay.
he's
Well,
really
that
good.
that
Yeah,
really doesn't make a difference for me because I
yeah,
don't know either.
yeah, yeah. That's fair.
Well, Chris, do you have any other questions? Or are we getting to
Yeah,
the?
I think we've hit to the point in the interview, Bogdan, where if you have anything you want to plug, if there are any questions you want to ask us, or if there's anything we haven't touched on that you just want to talk about, this is just open discussion time.
I was just thinking about like how the music industry will be affected by COVID, and one question that I was asking myself, like, it's been what through 2 years since last Architects album. It's been almost 3 years since last Parkway Drive album. Will this actually like force bands to write more music? Like their album cycles will basically be shortened because they need to, I guess, make more content to make more money off of it. Uh, that's something I've been asking myself, but at the same time, it's like at this point, it's merch, it's like Patreon and stuff over music sales, which is kind of sad. But at the same time, I mean, personally, I've bought a lot of While She Sleeps merch specifically because it's really good merch. It's really good designs. They didn't sponsor me, by the way. It's just my opinion. Like, okay, so I guess my question is to you: What do you look in? What do you look for in a band merch? Like, would you ever consider some merch cringy or like bad or like not? I'm not wearing this in public. And like, what's the like the type of merch that you would buy? Because I
So
already see your Code Orange shirt.
I was about to say we're both
And your
wearing,
architects.
yeah, we're both wearing merch right now.
I'm not wearing merch, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'll just do a process of elimination. I'm not going to wear any Cartoon Monster merch from the mid 2000s.
As
Sorry,
you
Five Finger
shouldn't.
Death Punch.
Yeah, I so my tastes are actually the more neutral and like regular clothing looking it is, the more
Yeah,
likely I am to wear it. Part of that is a practicality thing, because
absolutely.
during COVID, if I'm out in public, I'm probably working. And then another thing is that I don't know, I've always just leaned toward more minimalistic designs. I mean, you can ask Connor, whenever we're not doing this show, I wear black jeans and a black t-shirt and Vans, and that's just the way I go around. And if I'm going to slap on a baseball cap from a band, you're going to have to try really hard to see the logo. And I know
Right.
that's kind of counterintuitive because part of the reason why we buy merch is to like become walking advertisements. But that's just where my vanity takes me, I
I
guess.
totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I enjoy music I listen to. I enjoy bands that I buy merch from, but like I don't know if I want everyone to know I listen to like I don't know While She Sleeps. I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is I don't want a merch that's basically just a logo of the band in the middle of the shirt. Like that seems kind of lazy on their part.
Yeah. No, I I completely agree. Yeah. And I think that I actually agree that While She Sleeps does have some great designs. I actually I don't know what happened to it, but I used to have their Your Silence Speaks Volumes shirt, and that was
Hmm.
really sick. So I agree with you. I'm familiar with their merch and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean a pretty similar answer to Chris. I'm not looking for decaying bodies on my t-shirts because it's just gonna scare people.
Oh,
um,
that's true too. Keep talking, Connor, but you just
yeah.
reminded me of something. Yeah.
I mean, typically, okay, so well, usually what will inspire me to buy merch is a really good album comes out and
Oh
the
yeah.
album has to have great album art. And then at that point, I'll be like, I'm really into this band. This is a cool design. I'll go look up what they have. And It really just kind of depends. I mean, this shirt, I mean, it's got kind of a crazy guy on it, but
Yeah.
it's so distorted that when people are looking at it, it doesn't really look like, I don't know.
Just like the album.
Yeah. um, but I would say this is my most like offensive metal shirt I have. Most of the others are just like super simple. Yeah, so I
You've
guess
got a
more minimalist.
you've got an original '99 Slipknot shirt that's pretty
That's
edgy.
that's true. That's true.
I got a Slayer
Um,
shirt, and the only Slayer song I've ever heard was "Raining Blood." So you can call me a poser
that's like
if I ever wear that in public.
it's totally fine,
It's okay.
dude.
We're not metal gatekeepers here.
Yeah. Dude, you actually just reminded me of a funny memory, which is that I was out going to the movies with a girl I used to date, and I was decked out with black ripped jeans and a Slayer shirt, and looked,
Lord.
like one of us. And then she was completely decked out in like Taylor Swift merch, and and I remember that there was this group of school children that were in a line, and they literally just started pointing at us.
What is this, Halloween?
Yeah. So that was kind of worth it, but in general, I try to avoid that kind of experience if I can help it.
I just like merch that I can easily integrate within like a casual outfit that I would usually wear. So
yeah. If it can't go with a flannel button down, then it's probably not worth it. Yeah.
Man, I have like at least 4 flannel shirts. They're all
Yeah.
different colors though, so that's
Yeah. You actually, so while Connor was talking, I actually want to ask you really quick. Are there any bands that you listen to, but you would never like wear their merch or promote them?
Not because they're like it's a very obscure band, but Periphery, I honest to God, their merch sucks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I've looked at the website because I really liked the Hail Stan album. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna buy something, but then I was like, no, what is this? So that's one. Probably I wouldn't really. I do have a Whitechapel shirt, but I don't know. I don't really like super depressive heavy bands because like then I would have to explain to people what it is and like they're gonna probably think I'm like
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, man, we live in Nashville, and this shirt, you can't see it, but it says "All our gods have abandoned us" on
Oh
it.
God.
And
probably
I
wouldn't wear something like that either.
yeah, yeah. If anybody over the age of 30 comes near me, I just start sweating. It's
Yeah, my parents would be disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, geez. But the point I was going to make is I probably shouldn't say this because this is going to look really bad as a patron of music, but I have one band who I will not like talk about or wear their merch, but I do listen to them and enjoy their music a lot, and that is Infinite Annihilator. Because I have to admit their music is really enjoyable, but it's too much.
It's something you enjoy like behind the closed door.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's a whole other rabbit hole because I have so many thoughts about that because they occupy a unique place where I despite the fake drums and everything, I really enjoy that music, but I just every time I accidentally look at the lyrics, I'm like,
Oh,
man,
mistake.
Yeah.
Chris, you warned me when you showed me them. You're like, Connor, whatever you do, just don't read the lyrics. I'm like, oh, dude. The second you walked away, I was like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. And I think that if I were to put a bottom line on this issue without like trying to be too controversial or anything, it's that it's kind of cringe. It's like, it's so ridiculous. And I know that they're not murderers or anything, but it definitely like crosses so far into edginess that it's just, I almost find it actively annoying.
You have to be really brave to just wear like merch from Infinite Annihilator or any bands like this. It's just
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I shouldn't single them out, because the reality is I wouldn't wear a Cannibal Corpse shirt either, because
yeah.
I just I don't need dismembered bodies on my body.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any other things you want to plug? Well, obviously have all your links in the description. Any other
I mean,
questions for us or topics you want to talk about?
oof. I know this is very like it's a very out of nowhere question, but it's something that I've been always kind of confused about. So, Parkway Drive, The Reverence. Have you listened to that album at all?
I have, yeah.
A lot
Was
of
that the
people,
newest record?
yeah, the latest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, a lot of people disliked it, and I just never understood why. Because,
uh,
honest to God, I mean, I love Parkway Drive, Deep Blue, Atlas, all that stuff, and I love Parkway Drive, Ire, Reverence. Maybe Ire to a bit of a lesser extent, but Reverence, in my opinion, is like one of the most interesting records they've put out. And so I never really understood why people dislike that album so much, considering they already had an album that was like sort of changing direction for the band. So like, what do you think about, I guess this in particular, but as a whole, what do you think about bands just smoothly transitioning into another genre completely?
I think
Connor, do you go ahead?
I
Yeah.
mean, it's really a case by case basis. With the Parkway Drive situation, I loved the new record.
Yeah.
And another situation where I think this worked very well was one of my favorite albums of this year, Poppy, transitioning from weird computer pop music into whatever she's doing now. So there are certainly situations where it doesn't work. I can't really think of any off the top of my head because
Ask
I.
Alexandria.
Oh yeah, oh
Uh,
great one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
not.
I thought we were talking about smooth transitions.
that's. I mean, whatever happened there, like with the whole vocalist change, it's such a
Yeah,
shit show, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a case by case basis, and I'm not
Absolutely.
opposed to a band totally changing their sound though.
Yeah, so I think that my broad answer to this is the same that a lot of people would give, which is that, well, as long as the music is good, that's fine with me, right? But I do have to I do have to admit to myself, to a certain extent, that there is something inherently disappointing about a metal band getting away from metal. And I really don't think that it's that complicated. I think it's as simple as metal is my favorite genre. I do listen and enjoy other genres, and I want my favorite bands to stay in my favorite genre. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
just that, it's as simple as that. But I don't mean to say that in such a way that, like, I think it's okay. Like, I think it's good for bands to make the art that they want to make. I think that should be priority number one. And I'm one of those people who, when Bring Me the Horizon dropped Ammo, I initially strongly disliked it. And then I came back to it a year later, and I actually love that album now. I think it's really, really good.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it like the every song on that album that isn't a single is so good. It's crazy. But
They're dropping a new album at the end of this month.
yeah, I know. Came out of nowhere. Connor, did you even know that?
I didn't. I've just heard the one or two singles. Is it two yet? Obey and
It's like 4, I think. Right?
oh no, I'm totally forgetting. Yeah, we
Ludens.
reacted to the other ones. Yeah,
Yeah, all those singles, which are all great in my opinion. I think Bring Me the Horizon turned out great with this sound change. I
Yeah.
don't mind it at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think, okay, since we're talking about Bring Me the Horizon, I will note that even though I admit to myself that there are going to be some negative feelings when a band changes their sound, and maybe I won't like it initially, you got to give it some time to get some perspective, because not only might you enjoy the new music more later, but I've recently gone back and listened to Count Your Blessings, and that album is not nearly as good as I remember it being. So that can happen too. And it's mostly a production issue. So for everybody who's like loves Pray for Plagues, it's still a good song. It's just not the same. And I feel the same way about Asking Alexandria, really, except for that I don't like their new stuff or their old stuff. In that I used to really, really like their first 2 records when I was a teenager. And to a certain extent, I still do. But I recently went back and tried to listen to some of it while I was in the gym, like yesterday. And wasn't doing it for me. It just wasn't as good as it used to be. And
Times change.
they do. And I don't know if I'm sounding a little harsh or not, because I think that if you like Asking Alexandria and their new sound, old sound, whatever, I think that's totally fine. And I actually think that they're doing a good job at what they're doing. I just don't like it. And that's really all there is to it. I think that they're making really good rock music, but that's just not where I am in my musical life right now. You know, right now I want breakdowns with lots of wheels and rattling hi-hats and shit. So yeah, that's my very disordered thoughts on that.
Totally get that. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes me want to ask you, what do you think about putting people into subgenres at all? Because, you know, metal, we have a lot of fucking subgenres. And so how do you feel about like subgenres and like subgenre elitism? Because, you know, people get really defensive and gatekeep their subgenre. Like people that are like into slam music, man, if that thing has more than 2 chords in it, it's not slam music. You can get the hell out. So so how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Honestly, there was a point in my life when I was like, you know what, that's it. I'm never mentioning genres again. I'm just listening to music, to whatever I like.
Yeah.
Because like even like what you mentioned about slam music and stuff. If we take a bit of a less extreme example, for example, like deathcore, and the latest album by Chapel, for example, there's some clean vocals on that album, and I specifically went into comments to see if there's people who dislike it, and I found a lot of people that would be like, "Oh, this is not deathcore anymore." I'm like, dude, there's so many heavy songs on this album. Have you even listened to it? And they just, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I hate this elitism. I hate this gatekeeping. Just let people fuse, do whatever they want, like change genres a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong about it at all. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
despite
we
what I
should
said,
stray away
no,
from that dividing everything into subgenres, because like at the end of the day, a lot of people are gonna like that music and that music and that music that's completely different, and like it's not even related remotely. So like what's the point of just doing this pointless gatekeeping? I don't get it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, despite what I said previously, I very much agree with you there. I think that it's completely unreasonable to get upset because somebody puts clean vocals in a genre that hasn't had them historically or typically. Same thing with like electronic elements or literally anything else. So I completely agree with you about that.
Anything but guitars is already not true.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Bogdan, you got anything else?
Honestly, couldn't tell you. I don't know.
That is totally fine, man. And well, obviously, dude, we love your channel. We really
thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
the time you took to talk to us.
Of course, this was fun. This was very fun.
Oh, good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, glad. Yeah, I'm sure people will be happy to see you without jump cuts too. All the little awkward pauses and things. It adds a lot. No, not at
A lot
all.
of people told me I have too many jump cuts.
No, actually, I'll tell you what, man. When I saw your video, I don't know if I said it in the video, but I said it afterward. I was like, he put the jump cut even in his little hello when you in the video that Connor asked for. I really appreciated it. Sorry, it's
how I do things.
Yeah. I'm totally sorry if I sound like a dick. I'm just trying to joke around.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you guys. This was a very fun conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were
Cool.
so happy to get to you before True Shot could.
The
Yeah.
Exclusivity.
Yeah.
By the way, drinking the Canada Dry Ginger Ale in your cameo for us.
Of course, gotta represent.
Yeah.
You know, if you ask a Canadian what does he like more, Coke or Pepsi, he'll answer ginger ale.
Awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Well, I think with that, that's it. We'll see ya. And dude, thanks again. We should do this
Yeah,
again.
man.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Cool.
We greatly appreciate it. See you, man.
Bogdan, we'll see you later.